Salutations, audience. I'm Mike, and you're watching an update for Rug Delver in Modern for the Death's Shadow metagame. So, this is the 75 you've seen in probably the last 5 videos since I added a Snapcaster, dropped a couple shoals, added a snare, and I think something else. I don't quite remember the exact details. It was just 2 disrupting shoals, 1 snare, 1 Snapcaster came in. So 2 cards went out, 2 cards came in. Today we're going to do a little more tweaking. Now, if you have very good eyes, or maybe the screen you're watching this on is exceedingly good quality, you'll see that this main deck here says 63. We're not actually going to make a 78. I have 3 cards set aside here that I didn't want to save into a sideboard because it probably wouldn't let me. So we're looking at bringing in, let's make these nice and visible. Actually, we're going to put that over there because it's the least important. Engineered Explosives. The second copy of EE is going to help out against mid-range decks, mostly the Death's Shadow ones, and also anything running a more black-green rock style. Engineered Explosives is very good. It kills Death's Shadows. It kills Tarmogoyfs. These are things that we like. Second card you'll see is Curiosity. I have never played this in a video before, but I ran this a long time ago. This used to be a thing before Bedlam Reveler, maybe even a little before that. Like, probably a few months before Reveler came out, people stopped using Curiosity. Curiosity is for mid-range matchups, control matchups, and combo matchups. It's great against combo because you stick a threat, put Curiosity on it, and draw more interaction while you kill them. Against control and mid-range, it's less good, but still good. Curiosity almost always is a 1-for-1 if you play it smart, so it'll just about always cantrip. And while it's cantripping, it forces your opponent to answer it or fall behind on a bunch of cards. Why we like this against mid-range and control is if they can't answer the threat right away, you get to draw 2 or 3 cards off of it, gas back up, and probably get out safely. You usually want to be the beatdown in these kinds of matchups. Well, you are always the beatdown. Well, almost always. Maybe they have a really fast start. But you're pretty much always the beatdown, but you usually want to play a slower beatdown game in Game 2. Game 1, it's pretty much all tempo because these are the tools that we have. Game 2 and 3, you could resolve a Huntmaster, maybe a Blood Moon. You're willing to take it a little slower, so Curiosity might actually end up moving its way into the main deck to facilitate the tempo plan a little better. That would probably cause me to switch it with, say, the Mountain, maybe a Traverse. I'm a little hesitant to do that because of the 2 Snapcaster mages. I've never really run 2 snaps outside of like the last 5 matches, and I definitely haven't done so with 17 lands and not having Gitaxian Probe. Of course, Traverse helps, so you know what? We're gonna make that slightly different. We're going to go for the... Actually, can we get this in the cantrip section? Beautiful. Curiosity is going to be in the main deck, because talking myself through it, I think it's better there. There are some matchups where Curiosity is bad, usually when you're not the beatdown, because you don't want to be attacking in those matchups, so it's not doing a lot. It can be pitched to Shoal, which is more relevant when you have more than 1 Shoal, but it's still not too bad. And there's always the fun play against Burn of putting it on an Eidolon of the Great Revel, and then every time they cast a spell, you get to draw a card. That's kind of fun. Mountain here being in the sideboard now. Mountain, the 4th basic rather, is very good against Path to Exile decks, or decks with Ghost Quarter. Path is becoming a little more popular than it used to be, given the rise of Death's Shadow, so I was hesitant to do this at first, but talking through it, I think I'd rather have Curiosity in the main. I'm probably fine for lands because we have these 2 Traverses here, and Mountain gets a lot better when you're going up against, say, a Burn deck, an Affinity deck, something where you need red mana and you really don't want to pay shock. Another thing about it is, since we are going for a tempo plan here, Game 1, 17 lands is probably okay with the Traverse. Usually you don't want to draw too many. It's also entirely possible we were flooding more than we should have recently because of having, with Traverse, effectively 20 lands. So we'll try that out. I'll see how often we flood, how often we're unable to use Snapcaster effectively. And I do like having the mountain in the 75 because we have Traverse, we have Huntmaster, we have Blood Moon. Mountain is very good. Before Probe got banned, something people used to do a lot in more mid-rangey matchups is they would side out Breeding Pool and side in the basic Mountain, where that would help you with Blood Moon because Breeding Pool stops you from being able to Blood Moon on turn 3 while having all 3 colors, because you could go Island, Forest, Breeding Pool, and you can't cast Blood Moon, or you go Island, Breeding Pool, Steam Vents, and then you don't have green. So Breeding Pool's a little bad on the Blood Moon side, and those matchups often go long, but there's also the fact that usually you want to hit a lot of land drops because we're trying to play Huntmaster. We want to deploy threats and counter things in the same turn, especially against, say, Jeskai Nahiri, although that's not too common, so I guess that's not really a consideration. But given that we're only talking about actual playstyle and not deck building itself right now, I'd say it is relevant. The last card we're seeing here is Surgical Extraction. I did not know what the third card I wanted to put in the sideboard was, so I went with this. Surgical is pretty... what's the word? Versatile. Versatile is the word. It's good against a lot of decks. Good against Death's Shadow, good against any Grixis deck. It's good in the mirror if you ever happen to go up against a Rug Delver deck. It happens once every 1,000 years or so. It's good against Lingering Souls. It's good against a good few combo decks. It's just an all-around pretty decent card. I was also considering Spreading Seas, because that adds a 4th land hate card to our sideboard here, and could be pretty helpful against Bant Eldrazi and Eldrazi-tron. We're going to see how that plays out. I might end up making that switch, but I think Surgical comes in for a lot more matchups. Talking myself through this again, I think we have a lot of stuff that we board in against Grixis, Jund, Abzan, Death's Shadow. We've got EEs, we've got Blood Moons, although the Blood Moon's coming against Eldrazi anyways. I'm just going to sideboard quickly against Eldrazi. We would take out, against Bant, we want all of the Bolt effects. We drop 2 Spell Snares, probably 2 Leaks because of Cavern. That's 4 cards. Vapor Snag's good. I like Cutting, probably a Snapcaster, so that's a 5th card. And I have plenty of stuff that I bring in, so I'll probably end up cutting even more things. So really, I don't think we have a lot of room for that 4th land hate card, given that we want all 3 Huntmasters in against Bant Eldrazi. That's pretty much our best card in the matchup. So I'm going to say Surgical Extraction is probably fine for now. If I actually go up against an Eldrazi deck and find that I'm boarding out more cards than I want to board in, maybe I'll sub it out for a Spreading Seas. The reason I'm bringing these 3 cards in is I want to take 3 cards out. Those 3 cards are named Bedlam Reveler, Traverse the Ulvenwald, and Traverse the Ulvenwald. Yesterday, actually I recorded it yesterday, you guys would be watching it probably just before this video, because I'll probably be publishing them one after each other. I played against... I don't remember what deck it was. It was a deck against which Bedlam Reveler is bad. A lot of decks against which Bedlam Reveler is bad. That sentence wasn't actually right, but I ended up... I was bad from the beginning, so I just went with it. Bedlam Reveler is good against mid-range decks and control decks. The premier mid-range decks right now are Bant Eldrazi and Death's Shadow. Jund and Grixis. Jund more than Grixis, but Grixis is emerging. So if you want to Bedlam Reveler an Eldrazi deck, you're going to get steamrolled while having a few extra cards in your hand, because they apply pressure way too quickly. You do not want to be Bedlam Revelering. A side effect is that when you bring in Bedlam Reveler, we take out Hooting Mandrills. You need to kill Eldrazi players very quickly because of their inevitability. Therefore, we need these Hooting Mandrills in the 60 at all times. Bedlam Reveler does not come in. Against Death's Shadow Jund, they apply a lot of pressure, and they do it a lot quicker than their normal mid-range counterparts. Bedlam Reveler is way too slow, and you will just be dead on board while casting it. So Bedlam Reveler is kind of bad in this metagame. What do we do about that? We don't want Bedlam Reveler. Now it's gone. When we take out Bedlam Reveler, we still have For Traverse the Ulvenwald in our library. Well, the 75. It's only in the library when we actually bring it in. Traverse is good against mid-range decks, and I do like it against decks such as Death's Shadow, but we don't need it. When you have Bedlam Reveler in your deck, you like Traverse, because then you have 5 or 6 Bedlam Revelers. You have a good chance of drawing one, and then you get a Traverse off of that one, and then you Traverse for the next one, and you bury your opponent in card advantage. I don't think we need to dedicate a bunch of slots to that anymore, because that's not really a plan that works against the mid-range decks we're seeing. So if the plan doesn't work against the meta, we probably shouldn't be using the plan. Traverse number 3 and 4 are probably worse than the next explosives, and I'm sure I have enough cards here that I can bring in against Death's Shadow, so that's not a problem. The place I could see this hurting us is against, say, Obzon, which Jund isn't too common, so Obzon is kind of like the last bastion of traditional mid-range decks, and we have a lot of stuff that we can do against Obzon. We've got these engineered explosives to deal with their threats. We now have a main deck Curiosity, which, by the way, is a hedge against mid-range now because we're moving off of the Bedlam Reveler plan. I think we need more, firstly, Game 1 action against mid-range so that we're not reliant on post-board games. That's a very good reason for keeping the 2 Snapcasters and not dropping any of those 2 Spell Snares. And 2, it helps also post-board because it's still good. So Curiosity is to hedge against those matchups a little bit. Engineered Explosives is straight up just like mid-range, please don't kill us. That's just there to take out their threats. It's also very good against Merfolk. So if/when I go up against a Merfolk player, I expect to be happy about that. And like I said, Surgical is just generally good. So these Traverses are leaving. I'm going to do a slight bit of sorting. Mountain now enters the grind package because when Huntmaster comes in, Mountain is probably going to come in. And Surgical Extraction is pretty much just a random card, which is unfortunate. We'll call it hate. We only have room for 4 columns nicely, unless we size this down. Yeah, we'll just do that, I guess. So that is our new sideboard. That's going to go right there. We have our artifact removal and sweepers, hate, special, more sweepers. These are the actual sweepers for the fast decks where you need to sweep, dismembers, extra removal, and grind package, feat, mountain. This is the 75 I will be playing with for the foreseeable future, obviously with tweaks such as bringing Curiosity to the side, Mountain back in the main if I find we're too landlight, messing with the Snag Charm split, the Shoal Snare split, and the number of Snapcaster Mages. All things that could change. Overall, I think this is going to be pretty good moving forward, and we are going to save that. I'm going to head in the game. Feel free to join me. Next time, of course. I'm not doing it in one video because I like to sort things.